Hello and welcome back to Crafted by Corie. If you're new, I'm Corie. Welcome to my channel. If you're returning, thank you as always for your support. Super excited because it is Minis Challenge Day. We have a whole playlist, more on that in a little bit. For now, let's go ahead and get right on into the crafting.
DIY number one. For this project, I have a bunch of popsicle sticks. I'm just going to grab out 3 of them and I'm going to break them. I'm not going to cut them because I want them to kind of have that jagged, rustic look to them. Breaking 2 of them in half, and then I'm going to keep that third one whole, and it's going to be used as my stake, so to say. So I have a bunch of different colors of chalk paint that I've pulled out. One is mustard, pumpkin, crimson, fern, and then I have my Java. And I'm going to use everything but my Java right now to paint these little ones that I've broken. And I am not trying to make it perfect because I have in mind that I'm going to be sanding these in a little bit. Actually, I was making them a little bit more perfect than they really needed to be, but that's quite all right. So then the little one that's going to be my stake, that was my Java color. Once everything was dry, I pulled out my sandpaper and I was just giving it a good rough sanding to reveal some of the underlying wood and just make it look a little bit worn. Then I took that same sandpaper and I'm just rubbing the edge of the curved part of each of my popsicle sticks on either side to create kind of like a point so it looks like an arrow, so to speak. And I'm going to do that with every single one of these. And then once I had that all done, I was ready to grab out my black Sharpie and I am going to write my little signage out here. So I have hay rides, and I did corn maze, pumpkin patch, and I think apple picking. Yeah. And just writing it all in all caps. You could certainly make these a little bit larger if you wanted to by using the, I'm going to call it a dipstick. That's like a tongue depressor size. You could do it with those if you don't have popsicle sticks, or if you want something that's going to be a little bit larger. I was concerned that I wasn't going to be able to write small enough on these, but it actually worked out really well. And here I've got it blown up for you a little bit so you can see probably a little bit better what I was writing on here. In person, it looks super cute and it's definitely legible. So I was very happy with the way that it turned out. And now I am ready to apply them to the stake or the upright post, however you want to describe that, with a little bit of hot glue. I'm going to go ahead and apply each of these down. And of course, my little hot glue strand is going to get caught here for a second, and I'm going to end up knocking it all sideways. Oh, the joys of hot glue. But no worries. I just realigned everything and went on about my business. And it did not take a lot of glue. In fact, probably less is more in this instance, because you can see I'm kind of having to clean it up here in between when it oozed out in between all of my little signs. So I'm trying to put in just a teeny tiny dab of hot glue, but you know, best laid plans doesn't always work out the way that we intend. But just getting that last one secured, and then I'm going to be ready to figure out a way to have it stand upright. So I grabbed this little styrofoam ball. I've been using them for snowballs on some of my Christmas and July things, but I just cut it in half with an old kitchen knife that I keep in my craft stash and tucked my little post in there. And I'm using my Java chalk paint again to just cover that little styrofoam ball and get in all those little nooks and crannies. And then this is going to be done. I love it. Let me know what you think. Now, As I mentioned earlier, today is the Minis Challenge, so I am super excited for all of the crafters that are part of the playlist. There is a link in my description box. I hope you will check it out and go give them all lots of love. DIY number 2. For this project, I have a sock from the Dollar Tree, and then this little piece of wood that I've had in my stash for a while. It came off of something else, I'm not sure what it was, but I'm in the process of checking some of my different shades of green I think these are chalk paint markers. Yes, they are chalk paint markers. And I had tried just a regular green, and then I think it's called Pine. That was the first one I held on to. Then I think it was Aspen that was too blue. And then this one that I decided to go with is called Olive. And as you can see here, I am switching around my point. I don't know if you are aware, but with the Arteza chalk paint markers, you can pull them out and they have different tips. So I had the blunt tip at first, and now I have the fine point tip. So it's just going to help me be able to draw my letters a little bit more easily and thinner, right? So if you are not into hand lettering, you can certainly use a stencil. You could use a stamp if you have one. You could, if you have a vinyl cutter, use that and create your own stencil, however you want to do this. You could trace over something. There are a lot of different options here. I tend to like the hand lettering, so that's what I have opted to do here. So you probably saw me air drawing. I am very visual. If you have followed me for any amount of time, you've probably heard me say that over and over. But I always do that just to kind of get a feel for whether I am centered, whether my letters are going to fit. You could certainly also come in and do it in pencil first and then go over it. I'm frankly just too lazy to do that. Sometimes I will. Sometimes I do, but I wasn't feeling like it this time, so I just went for it. But I'm just coming back and creating a little bit of a faux calligraphy here on all of the downstrokes. I am just making the lines a little bit thicker, and that is what creates that look, so to speak. And if you'd like to learn a little bit more about how I go about the hand lettering, I do have a tutorial on my channel from last year or the year before. I'll have to find it and provide a link for that one too. But now I'm going to flip my tip back around because I don't want my fine point to get smushed, which it would. Then I went ahead and sealed up my paint marker. All right, now I'm going to cut off the foot part of the sock just below the heel. And I'm going to look for the seam with these Dollar Tree socks. I know that there's like a little bit of a seam there. And so I'm going to go ahead and cut this open along that seam. And that way the rest of the sock will be intact and with no seam going through it. I'm going to cut off the toe here, and then this is going to give me a rectangular sized piece of knit sock that I'm going to use as representation for a knit sweater. But just trying to figure out how I'm going to wrap this around here. In hindsight, I'm kind of wishing that I had hand sewn around the edge and pulled it tight, kind of a little snug, so I could have gathered it around the wood, but I don't know. I wasn't really sure how to do this as I was doing it, and I honestly wasn't sure if it was going to work. And jury is honestly still out on the end result, so you'll have to let me know what you think of this when I'm done with it. I think it's cute. I just am feeling like I could have executed on the sweater part of it a little bit better. So take that for what it's worth, learn from my mistakes and my thoughts and ideas, and then you can totally make it your own and improve upon this idea. So I have been wrapping under the edges because I didn't want the raw edges showing, although if you like that look, you certainly could. And now I cut off the corners here to try to alleviate some of the bunching up some of the bulk that's going to happen when I wrap this over. And I'm trying to, it kept wanting to curl the opposite direction of what I needed it to do. So I was trying to figure out what to do here. And I thought, you know what, maybe I'll take one of these popsicle sticks and see if that'll help. If, first of all, if it's long enough for me to use that, and it was. So I thought that might be a good way to help wrap it around. So as you could see, I put a bead of glue along there, set down my popsicle stick. I'm trimming off some of that extra sock that's hanging over, and I just rolled it up and folded it down, and it also gave me a way to kind of pull it taut. So that part of it actually I thought worked out really well. Threw down a bead of glue, pressing it down and just holding it for a second until it's secure. And then I'll do the same thing on the bottom side. So just kind of cleaning it up a little bit. From all of the little trimming that I did, it was picking up a lot of the black fuzz from the sock. But as I said, just did the same thing to the other side. And then that part is all done. So it was originally standing up on its own before I started all of this. This particular piece of wood, it was self-standing, but not anymore with the sock going on there. So I grabbed a couple of these wood beads from my stash, and I'm going to secure them to the back of the little sign to create a stand for it. This tends to be one of my go-tos. I'm not sure why. I just kind of like the wood beads for this. So I'm just trying to identify exactly where they need to be glued so that it does lean back just a tiny bit and allow for the sign not to flop over forwards. So once I had that in place, I'm going to bring it back up once I have the glue on it, that's to say, and just make sure I'm getting it secured where it needs to be. And that's it for this one. I hope that you like it. Let me know your thoughts. And yeah. DIY number 3. All right, I have a few pumpkins here, and I'm going to be painting the stems with my Adirondack white chalk paint. These are clearly pumpkins that I've used in the past. I had done, it was either last year or the year before, an ombre blue theme with these pumpkins, and so they were all different shades of blue from dark all the way to light. And so once I have the stems painted, I am painting the pumpkins themselves black. This is also my chalk paint, just in black. And I was a little nervous about how these were going to turn out, but they honestly looked really sharp. Even before I was actually thinking I would even just leave them like this, just in the black and white. I thought they looked really cool. But I had seen, I think it was with Bed Bath & Beyond, there were Ray Dunn pumpkins in black and white with words on them. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to recreate those. I thought they were really cute. So using my white chalk paint marker and just very gently and slowly, although it doesn't look slow right now because I have it sped up 2.5 times for purposes of not boring you to tears, but I am going pretty slow and just making sure that I am getting my letters the way that I want them. And as I've said before, if you have a stencil that you would rather use, or if you have a vinyl cutter, there are a lot of different ways that you can apply letters. You don't have to hand letter them if that is not your thing. But just writing out a few different words. And if you don't want to be doing the more of the Halloween type words, you could certainly do words like fall and leaves and things of that nature, or just leave them plain the way that I had considered doing them myself. It's completely up to you. but these are a really cute and simple way to decorate for the fall. And it's kind of funny. I love these so much, but it's like one of these things is not like the other. I'm not sure it really goes with the rest of my tray, but I still think they're super cute. Let me know what you think. DIY number 4. Okay, I had this mug that I was going to try. It is from the Dollar Tree. And then these rub-on transfers that I think are awesome. I've used them in the past, and I was hoping it was going to fit onto this mug, but it was honestly just a little bit too big. I needed a tall mug for it. These mugs are wide, but a little bit shorter. So I grabbed this little, this is also from the Dollar Tree, this little bucket that I had in my stash. And I'm going to be applying the rub-on transfer to this, and then we'll create just a cute little bucket of pumpkins. So just going to get that lined up. It is sticky once you pull off that back film, so you just want to be mindful of that. Once you set it down, you're going to be committed, because if you try to pull it up after it's caught sufficiently, you will pull up the design. It'll damage it. So one thing you do want to do, once you start applying it, make sure that you don't allow it to slide. So if you do start to lift it and it breaks the design, just lay it right back down again. Just don't let it shift, and you'll be fine. And you won't even be able to tell that the design had broken. So I am using my little burnishing tool. You can use your fingernails, supposedly. I prefer to use the burnishing tools. This particular one is also from the Dollar Tree. And then just slowly pulling it up and making sure that my little sheet is clean and that I'm not leaving behind any of that color. Those are just little moss balls, also from the Dollar Tree, that I stuck in there to use as filler. And then I'm going to be using these pumpkin picks. I'm just breaking off the picks about halfway up because they were just way too long for this particular project. You could also pull the picks out completely, but I decided I wanted something to just anchor these in here so they could be kind of abundant looking in my bucket. And then I decided it really needed a little something else, so I went back to my stash and grabbed out some greenery that I had left over from other projects, just random little pieces, and I tucked those in and around just to fill it out. And that's it for this one, so let me know what you think. And now it's time for a shout out timeout. Wow, Valerie, these gnomes are amazing. They are absolutely adorable. And beautiful Julie, she used flowers from her son and daughter-in-law's wedding for this. Beautiful. And awesome Tammy, I am feeling the fall. Love these. And Kathy, these are adorable. Super, super cute. Thank you so much for sharing. I would love to give you a shout out as well. If you have interest, just send me an email at craftedbycorie@gmail.com. DIY number 5. Okay, I have another one of these rub-on transfers, and actually I did these projects in opposite order, clearly, because I still have the pumpkin spice one there. But I was looking for a piece that I could use as a background, kind of backdrop for my Hello Autumn rub-on transfer. And I was thinking about this green, but as I started looking at it like this, I was realizing it was looking a little too busy with having that pattern right smack behind my Hello Autumn. So I ultimately decided that I was going to need some white as a background for it. So you could see I just kind of put a piece of my parchment paper behind it just to get an idea of whether that was going to be the way that I wanted to go direction wise, and it was. So I grabbed some cardstock out of my stash, and this is a frame that I've used in the past, and the little piece that's in there is something that I created. I want to say it was for Valentine's Day crafting last year. It might have been this year. I don't remember, but I am just going to repurpose it and use it for this, and I can hold on to the Valentine's Day one and swap it out, right? That's the neat thing about creating projects like this. You can update them for each season or holiday, and you can just save the pieces that you've created in the past and pop them back in when the season comes around again. So I'm just looking for something that's round and large enough to help use as a pattern here. So I'm just going to make sure that my decal will fit within that circle that I've drawn. It was a little bit more snug than I had hoped, so I'm going to just cut this out slightly larger than the circle that I had drawn there, and I'll just flip it over and use the back side of it, and that worked out just fine. Now I'm going to trim down my background piece. I had used the insert from the picture frame as my pattern, and now I'm ready to put it all together. Originally, I was going to do the rub-on onto the cardstock, but I was loath to do it because I thought, I could use it for other things later if I don't commit to putting it on the paper. And I realized I could probably just cut this down, leave the film on it, cut it to protect it, right? And cut it down to the size that I need. And then I can always use it later for something else if I so choose. So I'm just going to trim that down as well. And once I had that done, I'm ready to start piecing this together. I've got my background. I'm going to drop my little white circle in to help my Hello Autumn pop. And once I had that all nice and lined up, I'm going to just hit that with a little bit of hot glue, just a tiny bit. I don't want there to be a big lump in there. I don't want it to be visible that there's glue there. So I just put a tiny bit in, and then I kind of pressed it down and smoothed it out. Now I'm ready to just pop it right into the frame, and this is going to be done as well. I think it's super cute, but I can't wait to hear what you think. DIY number 6. All right, I have some more wooden beads, and I have these little leaves from the Dollar Tree. That first one had kind of a crease in the leaf, so I set it aside, and I had 5 others, which was perfect because I like odd numbers for whatever reason. And I'm going to pull out, I think I did 7 of these beads. Or maybe it was 6, one in between each leaf and then one on either end. So yes, it was 6. And then I'm going to pull out twice as many of these slightly smaller beads, and I'm going to be placing those on either side of the large ones. Once I had all of my beads counted out, I grabbed the larger ones and I'm going to put them on the skewer. This is just the way that I opted to paint these. I'm going to use Nantucket Blue. I've seen other people put a little bit of glue in like a little baggie and throw the beads in there and smoosh them around and get them painted that way. So that's an option. Or I've personally used baby wipes in the past if I wanted just a lighter shade of color on it rather than full coverage. And I did consider doing it for these, and they probably would have looked really pretty that way as well. But I just opted to do it this way. You can do it however you would like. So now I'm going to start stringing my beads. Obviously, I left the others, the natural wood color, and I am going to alternate the smaller, the bigger blue, and then the smaller, and I'm going to leave them spaced. And I'm just going to get all my beads on here, and then once they are all set, I'm going to be applying my leaves. I'm just measuring where it needs to sit next to the beads, applying some hot glue, and just anchoring that down. I'm going to continue to make sure I'm giving the leaves enough space between the beads. I did not tie knots for these. You certainly could. I did not bother to do that for these. I'm just allowing the leaf to be the blocker for the beads moving too far up and down the string. And I'm going to do the same thing all the way down the line until all of my leaves are secured. So here we go. I'm going to trim off that piece once I'm done, tie a knot in the end. I have a knot in the other end already just to make sure that my beads don't go flying off the twine. And this is really going to be done now. I think this is really beautiful. I'm loving these colors together, and I hope that you like it too, but leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. And here we are with the final reveal.
Okay, everybody, that's it for today. If you enjoyed the project, give me a big thumbs up, leave me a comment, let me know which one was your favorite. Remember to check out the playlist. We have some fantastic crafters. I hope you'll go and give them all some love. And until the next time, be well, be kind, and make it a great day. Thanks so much for watching. Take good care. Bye. Hello and welcome. Where's my thing right there? Okay. This is cute. Not. Let's try taking this down for a minute. Here we go. Okay. Hello and yeah, there we go. Hello and welcome back to Crafted by Corie. If you're new, I'm Corie. Welcome to my channel. If you're returning, thank you as always for your continued support. We have the mini challenge today. There's going to be a whole playlist. More on that in just a minute. Sorry, Sammy is saying hello too. And let's get right on into the